We continue our discussion of teen suicide and social media with clinical psychologist Dr. Sherry Blake. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
So you have your own practice.
I do.
Tell me about, what are you learning about the minds of young people when it comes to this topic and their psyches?
You know, one of the things, social media has played such a tremendous role. For the first time, now we have ways of communicating 24/7. You know, everything is real time. So youth they begin to define their values, their standards by what others are saying on social media, and it's becoming a problem.
And, you know, we've talked about the Netflix show, 13 Reasons Why. What do you make of something like that that's out there?
I think 13 Reasons Why is great in that it opens up the door for discussion. And I think, like anything else, you have to monitor who's watching and when, because it can be very tough. And it does create triggers for some kids. But on the other hand, we have to discuss. I thought the show was very real, and that's what I see in my practice for so many years.
So you think it can work both ways?
Yes.
It can show a child the harsh reality of this.
That's right. And how not to get caught up in it. Because if we understand what's happening, we can do something about it.
Is there the fear, though, that something like this is going to glamorize it?
You know, I don't think it's glamorizing. I think it's more educational because this is life. They're seeing it not only with 13 Reasons Why, they're seeing it in other ways, too. They're seeing it in the media. As we saw earlier, they're seeing it with people trying to commit suicide online. So I don't think that particular episode or those shows are glamorizing it, but I do think that it is real. It is educational, and we have to look at it for that. And I think if we can have a discussion, it really makes it real because kids can identify. They really can identify with being bullied. They can identify with all the things that was happening in that movie. They can identify with drugs and alcohol. They identify with it all. A lot of times we're not aware of it as adults, but trust me, they are.
So what can parents and adults do? How do you get through if a child wants to talk to their friend? What can the parents be doing?
First of all, we have to educate them. I think one of the things when we turn telephones, and telephones are no longer just cell telephones. They are little mini computers. So when we turn a telephone over to a child and they have a way to connect with everything from Instagram to Snapchat, whatever, we have to educate them about the dangers as well as the positives with that. Because we wouldn't give a kid a key to a car without some education about driving. We wouldn't do that. So we have to look and say, hey, listen, this is a tool that's very useful, but on the other hand, let's understand that when you see friends, they're not your real friends on social media necessarily. So a lot of times if you're using that as your standard, your values, your standards of what you should or should not be doing, it's going to be really distorted.
And finally, quickly, what is your advice to students out there, teenagers, young kids? How do they talk to each other?
Just talk. They talk about everything else, but we have to create a culture which is safe to talk about suicide, is safe to talk about mental health. And I think that until we create that culture where it's a common conversation. It's no big deal. It's a household conversation. Then it's going to be hard for them to talk. But they talk to one another. And when they hear someone thinking about suicide or they hear someone being really depressed, they need to tell someone. And they need to be aware of the signs. What are those telltale signs? What am I looking for? And even on social media, a lot of times I look at social media and some of my patients, and you can see the depression, you can hear the messages, but you have to be aware what they are.
Know what to look for and keep the lines of communication open.
Keep it open. Do not stray, and I don't care what they say. You know, a lot of parents say, well, I don't want to look at my kids' social media. I think you should.
You need to.
You need to.
You really do need to. All right, Dr. Sherry Blake, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great advice and insight there. We'd like to leave you with another number right now to write down if you or a loved one is contemplating suicide. It's right here on your screen, 1-800-SUICIDE. It's the National Suicide Hotline. We'll be right back.